Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we have an exciting mystery to uncover. Have you ever wondered about that quiet neighbor who never seemed to come out of their house? Well, that's exactly what this story is about. Meet Nishad and Maya, two curious siblings who have a neighbor named Mr. Nath. But here's the catch. Mr. Nath is no ordinary man. He is mysterious, quiet, and hardly talks to anyone. While Nishad thinks Mr. Nath is just a lonely soul, Maya is convinced there's something more, something darker. So grab a seat, maybe some popcorn, because we are about to dive into a thrilling story of curiosity, kindness, and a little bit of mystery. Are you ready to find out who Mr. Nath really is? Let's get started. But before that, let's get to know more about our characters of the story. The first character is Nishad, and he is also known as Seven because his name means the seventh note in music. He is 7 years old and he is a kind and caring boy. He feels sorry for Mr. Nath and doesn't believe he is a bad person. Maya, she is older than Nishad and she is 10 years old. Maya is smart, curious, and loves to come up with ideas. She thinks Mr. Nath is a criminal because of the way he lives. Mr. Nath is a middle-aged man. He is quiet and mysterious man who lives alone. His life is secretive, which makes the children curious about him. Ramesh is the person who brings Mr. Nath food from a nearby restaurant. He gives Nishad and Maya small bits of information about Mr. Nath's daily habits. Nishad and Maya's mother. She is a doctor who treats Mr. Nath sometimes. She tells her children that Mr. Nath is polite but doesn't talk much about himself. Expert detective. As we walked back towards the clinic, Seven said, "He doesn't look anything like a monster, Maya. But did you see how thin he is? Maybe he's very poor and can't afford to eat." "He can't be poor if he's a crook on the run," I told him. "He's probably got millions of rupees stashed away somewhere in that room." "Do you really think he's a criminal, Maya? He doesn't look like one." Nishad looked doubtful. "Of course he is one, Seven," I said. "And he certainly isn't starving. Mr. Mehta told us that Ramesh brings his meals up from the restaurant downstairs." "But Maya, Mr. Mehta told us he doesn't work anywhere. So how can he possibly have money to pay for food?" Nishad said. "Exactly," I exclaimed. "He must have lots of money hidden somewhere. Maybe in that trunk in his room. It's probably full of silver and gold and jewels and..." "What rubbish!" Nishad interrupted. "I know I'm right, stupid," I told him. "By the way, Seven, did you see his cars?" I couldn't. It was too dark, but I bet he got them during a shootout with the police or something. "Mummy told us quite clearly they were Burns cars," Nishad said firmly. "Perhaps the police had to set his house on the fire to force him out," I suggested. Seven looked unsure. On the Monday following Mama's birthday, Seven went alone with her to the clinic at Girgaon as I was spending the evening with a school friend. When they returned, Nishad told me that he had been to see Mr. Nath, and I felt most annoyed that I hadn't been there. Seven had been quite upset about Mr. Nath's gaunt appearance and was sure that he was starving. He told me that he had knocked loudly on Mr. Nath's door that evening and said, "Open the door quickly, Mr. Nath." The man had opened it and asked him, "Lost another marble?"
He had obviously recognized my brother. No, said Nishad. He had taken the man's hand in his own and thrust a bar of chocolate into it. Did you get any chance to peek in the trunk, Seven? I asked. Nishad looked disappointed. He didn't even ask me in, he said. Then he smiled. But I did find out something, Maya. I went down to the restaurant where Ramesh works and talked to him. Good for you, Mr. Detective, I said, patting him on the back. I hope you cautioned him properly. Seven looked pleased. Ramesh told me that he takes 2 meals for Mr. Nath every morning and evening and 2 cups of tea, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. Ramesh says he is not very particular about what he eats. It's always the same food.
2 chapatis, some dal, and a vegetable. Mr. Nath pays cash and tips well. Ramesh told me something very strange, Maya. Seven added. Almost every Sunday, he carries 2 lunches to Mr. Nath's room, and the same man is with him each time. He is tall, fair, stout, and wears spectacles. Ramesh says his visitor talks a lot, unlike Mr. Nath, who hardly speaks. Well done, Nishad, I told him. Now that we have made some progress with our inquiries, we will have to sort out all the facts like expert detectives so that we can trap the crook. How you do go on, Maya? Seven sighed. How can you possibly imagine he is a crook? He looked so ordinary. Criminals can look quite ordinary, Smarty, I retorted. Did you see the picture of Hyderabadi housebreaker in the papers yesterday? He looked like any man on the street. Nishad looked doubtful. The monsoons broke the next day. Dark clouds accompanied by blinding flashes of lightning and roaring rolls of thunder burst with all their fury, flooding the streets with heavy downpour. School was to have opened after the summer holidays, but no traffic could move through the flooded roads and there was an unexpected holiday. I thought I would spend the time usefully. I sat at my desk in our bedroom with a sheet of paper before me. I wrote in large block letters, Catching a Crook, Expert Detectives Nishad and Maya Pandit, by appointment to the whole world. Now let's do some knowledge test. What did Nishad give Mr. Nath and why? Nishad gave Mr. Nath a bar of chocolate because he concluded from Mr. Nath's lean, thin appearance that he was starving. What is strange about Mr. Nath's Sundays? Every Sunday, Mr. Nath used to have the same visitor at his home and the two used to have lunch together. Why did Nishad and Maya get a holiday? It was raining heavily and the streets were flooded with the downpour. Let's continue our story now. I wrote in large block letters, Catching a Crook, Expert Detectives Nishad and Maya Pandit, by appointment to the whole world. Then I began writing. About half an hour later, I turned towards Seven, who was lying on his tummy, chin cupped in his palms, reading comics. Want to hear what I have written? I asked. He looked up questioningly. I have listed all the facts we know about Mr. Nath, which might help us to trap him, I said. Want to hear? Seven nodded. Fact number 1, I read. His name is Mr. Nath. We must discover his first name. Do you think that is his real name, Maya? Nishad asked. Probably not, I said. Most crooks have an alias. I added a big question mark after Nath. Fact number 2, I read on. The tenant at Shankar House says he is mad, strange and unfriendly. Number 3, he doesn't talk to anyone and is mannerless. But he did talk to us, Maya, and Mama says he is very polite. Nishad interrupted. He's only talked to us because he had to, I said, and since he was under Mama's medical treatment, he had to be polite. Fact number 4. He doesn't receive any letters. 7 nodded. Number 5. He's been living in room number 10 of Shankar house for more than a year. I continued. Number 6. He does not work and sits in his room all day. Number 7. The kids in Shankar house and even some of the grown-ups are scared of him. Number 8. He has no visitors except for the spectacled, fair, fat man who visits him on Sundays for lunch. Number 9. Food and tea are taken to his room by Ramesh from the restaurant downstairs. He doesn't care what he eats, pays his bill immediately, and tips well. That ends my list. Have I forgotten anything, 7? Nishad had obviously not been paying too much attention to my list of facts. All he could say was, "Poor man, Maya. He must be so lonely if he doesn't have any friends." "How can a crook have friends, idiot?" I almost shouted. "At least he has one friend, the one who meets him on Sundays," said Nishad. A brilliant thought occurred to me just then. "That man must be Mr. Nath's accomplice in crime," I said. "Maybe he keeps all the loot and he comes now and then to give part to his partner." "Mr. Nath for expenses, that it. I'm sure I'm right." "If you insist of calling him a criminal, I don't think I want to discuss anything with you, Maya," said Nishad angrily. "He can't be such a bad man if he gives Ramesh such generous tips. Ramesh probably knows something about his past, so Mr. Nath must be bribing him to keep quiet," I said. Nishad glared at me with his arms tightly crossed across his chest. I was beginning to get fed up with him. "How can we make any progress with our investigations if you take that attitude, 7? I asked. "I will cooperate only if you give up the idea about him being an escape route," said 7. "You really make me angry." I almost hit him. "I make you angry, you stupid oof," I shouted. "You make me mad. What is the point of all these inquiries if he is not the crook? If you think he is a nobody, what's the idea of bothering about him? Please tell me." Nishad looked thoughtful. "I would like to find out why he's so thin and why he's so lonely. I want to know why he doesn't have any friends and lives alone." "Try to understand, 7, I told him. If he's lived in Shankar's house for a year and hasn't made a single friend, there is something wrong. He is obviously scared that someone will recognize him and give him up to the cops." "Maybe no one tried to make friends with him," Nishad protested. "Why should anyone bother? You have seen what a nasty bear he is," I said. "I don't care," said Nishad stubbornly. "I like him and I am going to try and be his friend." "Friends with crew? Ha! You are crazy, 7, I said. "The cops will take you to the jail with him. Do you want that happen, you idiot?" Nishad merely glared at me and quietly walked out of the room. My theory seemed to have made no impression on him at all. Well, that's all for the today's story, Expert Detectives. I hope you enjoyed following along with Maya and Nishad's investigation. Sometimes things aren't as they seem, and everyone has their own perspective. What do you think about Mr. Nath? Is he a criminal or just a lonely person in need of friend? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more fun and exciting stories. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Until then, keep exploring, keep imagining.